We have to be very realistic that if people are hoping that it's suddenly going to move from where we are now in lockdown suddenly into everything's gone, that is a wholly unrealistic expectation. We're going to have to do a lot of things for really quite a long period of time. The question is, what is the best package? And this is what we're trying to work out. But if you release more of one area, you have to keep on board more of another area. So there is actually a proper trade-off, and this is what ministers are having to consider. Essentially, there are quite a large number of possible combinations of things you can do. You're certainly right that contact tracing is one of those, but I think what I think we need to do is put to ministers all the various things that are possible, and at that point they will decide what the right combination is that achieves the best public health and wider social goals.
I mean, Gordon, just on that, I mean, let's be clear about this. A vaccine is not going to come in any time particularly soon to allow us to ease out of the current social distancing measures into a transition. I think it would, and I'll be corrected if I'm inaccurate about this, it would be more likely to be of particular value in stopping a second global wave down the track if we don't eliminate coronavirus for good.
So I'll just add to that. So I think in the long run, the exit from this is going to be one of two things, ideally, one of which is a highly effective vaccine, and there are a variety of ways vaccines can be deployed. They can be deployed for damping down epidemics, they can be deployed to protect vulnerable people, or highly effective drugs so that people stop dying of this disease, even if they catch it, or which can prevent this disease in vulnerable people. Until we have those, and the probability of having those any time in the next calendar year are incredibly small, and I think we should be realistic about that. We're going to have to rely on other social measures, which of course are very socially disruptive, as everyone is finding at the moment. But until that point, that is what we will have to do, and it'll have to be the best combination that maximises the outlooks. But it's going to take a long time, and I think we need to be aware of that. I mean, I'm very hopeful that we will have vaccines which have proof of concept much earlier than a year, to be clear. And there are very large numbers of people around the world, very good groups, excellent ones in the UK, first vaccine tomorrow into man here. But there is a long path between having a vaccine that's proof of concept, and until we have either a vaccine or a drug, it doesn't, I mean, we have managed other epidemics without a vaccine, HIV as an example, where it's managed with a drug, or combinations of drugs. But until we have those solutions, yes, what we have available to us are social measures, and that's obviously what we're using, and what's the optimal combination of those.
And Gordon, the one thing I'd just add, and it's really important to reinforce this message, the lower we get the R level, the transmission rate, the more options we have, which is why our message right now is been just to focus on keeping up the adherence to the social distancing measures. It is making a big difference, and of course the more we get the transmission level down, the wider the range of options that we would have in place.